Are you ready to take your quilting to the next level? Whether you're just starting or looking for fresh inspiration, the Elevate Box Club is designed just for you. As one of our club members, you'll receive a quarterly box packed with exclusive tools, patterns, and fabric to bring your projects to life. We host live classes every month, plus recorded lessons available anytime on our Sew Study University. Join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. for live inspiration on YouTube. We have a club for everyone. Choose from our ruler work club, our pattern only club, or the Elevate Box Club. Want it all? We also have a Get It All Club, combining ruler work and embroidery collections. Whatever your style and no matter your skill level, the Elevate Box Club is here to help elevate your creativity. We never stop learning together.
Hi everyone, it's Stacy with Sew Steady, and we are here live with Michelle. Michelle, I'm so excited that you're going to be sharing a fun project for everyone today and showing off one of the amazing panels that we have in our boxes. This is awesome. So I'm going to let you take it away. Do you want to go ahead and share with everyone what you're going to be doing today? Let's see here. I don't know if Michelle can hear me okay. It looks like maybe one of her devices went quiet. Michelle, can you hear us okay? Maybe? All right. Hi, Michelle. Can you hear us okay?
Hear you.
Okay. Well, I think maybe you want to exit and come back. Go ahead and try exiting and coming back in.
Okay, try again.
Can you hear me okay now?
No, I can. I just had a malfunction with one of my cameras, so we're going to make this work.
Okay.
It might be an exciting day. I don't know what's going on. I have some gremlins, I think, so I'm going to move this one camera out of the way.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and let you take it away. So what are you going to be doing for everyone today?
So today we're going to be working on this little crossbody bag with one of the panels.
Love that. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so great.
Yeah, what I love about this is it's perfect to take on an expo trip or to a trade show.
Yeah.
Or anywhere where you just want a little something with you and not your whole entire bag or backpack.
Absolutely.
So it's just a quick, fun little project.
Perfect. Well, excellent. Well, then I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away, and we can get started whenever you're ready.
Awesome. So everybody, I do apologize. This camera I'm not used to using at the machine. So if everything appears backward, I apologize. But my one camera all of a sudden just decided to go, and I can't see your comments. So Stacy's going to help us with that today as well. So isn't technology just so much fun? Anyway, I'm Michelle Hall. I'm one of the educators for Sew Study, and I am so happy to be with you today and to do this project with you. So we need a couple supplies for this little project. And the first, of course, is the thumb drive with all the designs on it for our card trick. And you will find that inside this little envelope or package inside your Elevate box. And it just has so many wonderful designs. So please take time and look through them. And consider all the ways that you can use the lovely embroidery that Jessica and the team has developed for everyone. So once you find the design you want, make sure that's on your USB so that you can get it to your machine. For this project, we need a panel. We need some fleece or batting. We need stabilizer big enough for our hoop. And then, of course, our threads and all the things for the machine that we're going to need. We also need some way to close our bags, so maybe some snaps. If you like magnetic ones, up to you. I don't like the magnetic ones close to my phone or my credit cards. That's just me. And this bag is so small that I just figured some sew-on ones are pretty good for this project. So the fleece that I'm using today looks like this. It's not very thick at all. It does not have fusible on any side. It is just fleece. And again, you could just use regular batting if you would like. I've got a couple of D-rings today. So that is one option to attach your handles. Or you could simply, I'm sorry, I know I keep turning around because my one camera, just sew them into the side of the bag. So you could do some D-rings or just sew it in as you construct your bag. I'm going to do a couple of pieces of ribbon that are about 4 inches to help sew and attach these little D-rings. And then I've got another piece that's 44 inches for my strap. Now for you, if you're a bigger person, because I'm only 5'3", I'm a little tiny thing, 44 inches is good for me. But you measure yourself or create one that has a slide on it so you can make it longer or shorter as you would like. Totally up to you. All right, let me make sure I put these where hopefully I don't lose them as we are going. And one just fell on the floor because that's how the day is going. Okay, so we're going to go to the machine, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to call up the design. And this screen is very, very illuminated, and this is when I wish my other camera was working for us. But what I need to do is I need to go grab the design that I'm going to use. So wherever it lives, I need to go find it. And the one I'm looking for is CT11, and it is 6 inches. So we are going to scroll over until we find it. It is little circles with a yin and yang in it, and it is just absolutely adorable. And I've called that up to the screen. And I do apologize. This is so whitewashed today. What I need to do with this on the screen is get another one, and I'm going to start stacking them one on top of the other and then down below. And what that's going to do is it's going to quilt the entire front and back of the bag for us, because this bag is only made with one of our panels, which I think is outstanding. Cute, quick little project. Okay, because this is so whitewashed, I'm not going to go through all the steps of doing that. So follow what your machine says to get other designs up on your screen and get them stacked. Now, if you don't have a hoop big enough for the entire panel, this machine today is the Continental M17 from Janome, and it's a great machine. Has a super huge hoop, 11 inches by 18.1, I believe, is the field of stitching. So I can do my entire bag all at one time. If you need to work in smaller hoopings and rehoop, then follow what the directions are in your machine's manual to get things to link up properly. Okay, again, this is super whitewashed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this design real quick today. And I'm going to go find the one that I've created that has all of the rows done. Let's see if I go backwards, if that's going to be helpful. And there's a lot on this thumb drive. So just give me a second. I will do this one. Okay, so it's called up on the screen. And I can say, okay, down here at the bottom to actually get it on the screen. And now it is filled with all the rows of 6-inch wide little design circles. On this screen, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them on here, which is outstanding that we can do that with this machine. Okay, let me see if I can get some of these lights down on the machine and if that's going to help us. Let me see. If I go in here, nope. Okay, let's go to our settings and let me see. Even if I turn the screen brightness down, I don't think that that's helping either. Let me see. Well, that's a little more doable, but it could also be that it's a very black screen that's on here. So let me see if I can get back to that. Okay, let's see if we can find the machine lights now. Okay, brightness, that's down all the way. Let me see, maybe if I turn some off. I don't know, that's not very helpful there, is it? That's too bright. Isn't it fun to explore what our machines can do? Let's see if we leave this one on, see if that's going to work for us. Hopefully we can see. Okay, so let me get out of these screens here. And it's still very whitewashed on there. And it turned on all my lights again. All right, so we're just going to run with it because that's how we roll. All right, I've already got hoops in here. This is poly mesh or nylon mesh stabilizer. What you're looking for is a nice, even distribution of the material that creates your stabilizer. We don't want to see any high or low spots in it. That means it's a good quality. I also know by feeling this how good it is. If you have some high and low spots, you may want to do 2 layers of your stabilizer. But one on this one is good. I have the fleece behind the panel, and then I have the panel on, and I haven't spray basted anything. This is all just free floating on top of the hoop stabilizer. And because it's such a big piece, I've done a no-no. I don't recommend pins in your space when you're embroidering, but these pins are going only through my stabilizer and the materials to help hold it, because if I tried to use tape right now, it's so far over the edge and it's covering the top and the bottom of this hoop, believe it or not, because this panel is awesome in how big it is. Tape just isn't going to hold it. So I do have some pins in here. Be very careful. We're going to slide this onto the machine. That sounds good. And now all I have to do when everything's set up is just get started stitching. So I'm just going to hit go and we're going to go for it. And we're going to see what happens. This thread on this panel today is a black thread because I still wanted to be able to use the panel when I'm done. For filming, we normally do very alarming colors so you can see it. But today, my daughter said she would really like this one because we're going to go on a trip. And so I'm trying to do 2 things at once today. But we should still see the quilting and the texture of it very well. All right, so currently on my screen, I can see that this design with all 9 of those layers is still only about 4,500 stitches. So it's going to go pretty quick, which I love. All right. So Stacy, while this is stitching out, do you have anything you would like to tell the group?
Well, I think really just kind of, I love the panel that you're using. That looks like one of the amazing panels that we had last quarter. So that's one of those gorgeous Shadow Dizzy Geese panels.
Yes,
yeah.
It is. Yeah. I
So
had to
pretty.
get this one because I was out of the other one.
Oh.
I didn't realize that I didn't have an extra. And I was like,
that's
oh,
okay.
No.
We've got a fun little bag. So, and that's one of the things that I think is important to note is that, like, yes, we're creating these amazing designs to go with specific blocks, but they're amazing designs and they're going to look gorgeous on a variety of different quilts and blocks and everything else. So you don't have to tie it into anything in particular. Yeah. Hey, I like your t-shirt.
Oh, don't you love this?
Yeah.
Where did I get this and how can they get one?
Well, we're going to be doing a Sew City Stars retreat coming up this summer. So if you haven't already looked into that, then I will post a link to it. We also have our National Quilting Month giveaways that are happening, and there just might be some t-shirts in it to win it for people that are part of that launch for our next box, and where we're going to be announcing the winners of the National Quilting Month. So I will go ahead and post a link to enter to win. Let's see here. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that you can get one. We might even have some of those on sale on our website here soon if you really, really want one.
I'm trying to get this camera to work, guys. It's still not, I don't know what it's doing. It still just wants to show me and not the machine.
Oh,
That is so bizarre. Okay.
That is
We're
strange.
just going to stop.
Okay.
I don't know why it's fully charged. It has nothing wrong with it. So already 3 of these little motifs have stitched out while we've been talking. So pretty good. What I love about these panels is they are whatever size, right, Stacy? We can make them however big or small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even designed for a particular project.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got one coming in our next box. It's designed for a project that we're going to be including in the box. So we're super excited about that.
So are there any questions? I know I'm going just a little fast.
No questions so far. So, but we'll definitely, keep you posted if anything comes up.
Awesome. So let's talk thread while it's stitching. For
Yes.
doing quilting, you can use your cotton quilting threads if you would like. You can even put them in your bobbin and the top. So kind of like a freestanding lace, and make both sides pretty. Especially if you're putting that backing on there with everything sandwiched in the middle. So that's a good thing to do.
And then which designer are you using today again?
I am using, you asked the tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
It is CT11 in a 6-inch wide.
Okay.
And the reason I picked 6 inches, this is a good thing to let you know, is because the panel that I'm using is about 18 inches wide. So 6 inches goes right up that center very nicely when we're creating the bag. So I know I just turned away from the microphone. So when we're creating this bag, all 6 inches are going across, and you can see as it flips, it goes all the way from the front to the back, all in one hooping.
Wow.
Which is very nice. And then again, for closures, if you do snaps, I really recommend the sew-in ones. And you can just do that. Velcros work really well. A friend of mine really loves those magnets, but for something this small, I don't know. I don't want to do the magnets. They're a little more expensive too. If I gift these to the little ones in the family, I don't like putting the magnets on there because we never know what's going to get attached to them.
Oh, sure.
Funny.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So because this panel is so large, I was only able to put pins along the sides of it. So when I take it off, I'll hold it up so you can see what I've done. I don't have any the edge on the top of the hoop. I was able to get some toward the bottom. So you'll just have to see. If the materials start to pull in because it's quilting, stop the machine and readjust so that everything can lay flat. And of course, don't get your hands up in there. I have a bad habit. No one told me not to do this. So there are wonderful little silicone wands that you could use to help smooth things. I highly recommend those. Don't get in my bad habit. Just done it for so long now, I forget. And I even have some of those somewhere. Kind of crazy. All right, this is getting close. We only have 2 more rows to do. So once this is done, what I love about this machine is that it has that AccuFeed system to it, the dual AccuFeed. And it's going to help us when we're sewing everything together, keep those layers like a walking foot and just nice and even. So if your machine doesn't have that feature, I recommend grabbing a walking foot when you're putting all of your seaming into the project. Because it's kind of like an Oreo cookie at times, where you squish it and all the good stuff comes out. So the walking foot or an AccuFeed system will help stop or minimize that for you. So fun. Okay, one more row to go at the end of this one. So if you like super quick projects, this is one for you. All right, I can see we're getting a little wavy up here at the top. Let's see if I can coax it without having to stop the machine just a little bit. That's what quilting does with our sandwiches, no matter what we do. All right, one last one. Let's pull that a little tight while it starts. Okay. I think that's going to look good. All right, so when this is done, I'll have to change the foot on the machine and get that all situated. Oh, Stacy, did you tell them about the retreat?
I did send a link to the retreat, but what we can tell you is it's going to be a ton of fun. We've got several educators coming that are going to be teaching classes. We've got 2 full days of classes at the hotel here in Eugene. We've got one day where we're going to do a shop hop tour and go to several stores kind of back on our way and back from the Oregon coast. So we'll do a little Oregon coast visit. And then our final day is going to be at the Sisters Quilt Show in Sisters, Oregon. So we are super, super excited. We know it's going to be just a really, really fun weekend full of kind of being up, well, I should say 4 days. It ends on a Saturday. But it's going to be a really great time to bring everyone together and just kind of have, you know, some really great education all together here in Eugene and be able to visit some of the highlights that we have here in Oregon. So nice. We would absolutely love you guys to join. I know, Michelle, you've got a class that you're planning for it. So we are planning on doing a little bit of embroidery. We are working with Janome. I believe they're going to be sponsoring one of the sewing rooms. So we're going to have some amazing machines there to be able to try out and do ruler work on. So that's going to be amazing for everyone that is signing up. And yeah, so we're really, really excited about it.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm getting everything changed out here now. So let's see, let's raise the up. I have the proper foot on there. Let's raise you up higher. It's always fun to watch people work on their machines, I think. If you ever have a chance to watch a tech work on a machine, I recommend it, because seeing inside of what the machine can do actually on the inside, those words didn't make sense. I shouldn't do things sometimes and speak. If you can see the inside of the machine, it's quite amazing in there, especially if it's computerized. It fascinates me to see what's going on. Okay, this foot on here. There we go. Come on, you can do it. It doesn't. I got to open the screw a little bit bigger. That's my problem. Sometimes that screw falls out and then I have to go find it because it'll fall on the floor. Okay, so this system has the action of the walking foot. And to get it to work, I have to make sure this little part on the back of the foot or the ankle area is into the machine properly. So make sure you follow your manufacturer's instructions on your particular machine. Okay, let's unlock this. Everything looks good. My thread has come out. For ease of doing everything today, I'm just going to go ahead and use the thread already in the machine. I would recommend changing to normal sewing thread at this point, though. That would be a good thing to do. But I know this will also stay together with these threads. How do I know that? Because we do in the hoop bags all the time, and that embroidery bobbin stays in the machine. So you can switch it out if you'd like, or you can continue doing like what I'm doing. Okay, so everything is over and where it needs to be. Let me turn on the system for the dual feed. If I don't turn it on, then it doesn't act like a walking foot. It will sew with the foot, but it doesn't actually do that action. So on this machine, I have to go and tell it I want to do that. So that's what I just did. And then you can see where I put the pins here in the hoop to just kind of help hold everything. So the only place I had to watch for, because there's pins here, with a little bit of waving. I don't know if you can see this at the top where it waved a little bit. That's when I had to smooth that very last row of stitching so that it didn't pucker in there. So just watch as it goes. Okay, so now the fun begins. We're going to unhoop everything and get those pins out of there. And this hoop is so big, I have 2 areas that I have to clasp on it at the top and the bottom. So if we look, our bigger hoops have a hooping system where we secure down here and we also secure up at the top. So just make sure you follow what your machine says to do with their hoop. So like a Baby Lock has their system, the Avenir has theirs, and you just have to make sure that you follow their guidelines. And take all these pins out real quick because I can't get the inner hoop out without taking them out. That's the other part of pinning. It's so fun. All right. So who in here is having allergy or cold symptoms? If it's, hopefully it's just me. Y'all are all healthy. I was watching the grandbabies about a week ago, and they love to share things. And so that's what they shared with me, was a little bit of a cold. Okay, so this is all out. At this point, I would go to the rotary cutter, and you can cut off the white parts of the panel because I have my situation today. I'm just going to use some scissors real quick and cut. But before I do, I'm going to use all this stabilizing here, and I'm going to do a basting stitch around the edge. What that's going to do is it's going to help hold everything over to the sides. You could take an opportunity if you want to make the inside of the bag pretty to do some lines of quilting, or better yet, do you want to practice with one of the templates? This is the best opportunity to practice because it's going to be inside the bag. So I would get out some templates if it were me and just practice a little bit. You know, you get that new one in your studio and you just want to see what it's like. This would be a great time to do that. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to lengthen the stitch just a little bit, and I'm going to sew around here as quick as I can and just get this secured so that it's not going to wiggle on me, because we all know that that's not fun. So what I'm doing is I'm not sewing right on the edge of the white or the part of the panel that doesn't have any coloring. I'm going to sew about 1/4 inch inside of that, because when I cut with scissors, I really do not want to cut that off. Oh, it's telling me I need bobbin thread. I've been playing too much. Okay, let's grab the bobbin thread. I thought I had some in that bobbin and I hadn't put it in there yet. I love that our machines tell us things. It's always good. Okay, now we're set to go. All right, so on this foot for 1/4 inch, I've got the needle in center position, and there's a spot on this really wide foot where those little feed dogs have to work like the walking foot. So I'm putting the white edge right inside where these little walking feet are, and I've got it in center position, and that is about 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit, going to check the stitching, looks good, so I'm good to go. Because I would rather check then than when you've got it all stitched and then you realize you got loops back there or something funny happened. Okay, pretty close. You could do a stitch at a time as you come to your corner. And this machine is so super fast. And those little feed dogs are going up and down and they're doing their job. I don't know what the machine sounds like on your end, but sometimes here I think it's fun. I'll get a phone call and I can't hear it. Almost done with the corner. Now I'm using my hands to help smooth things as it's stitching because again, I didn't do any spray basting or anything like that on this panel. Sometimes I don't want all that stickiness on my needle. And the best thing is to let it dry before you do any stitching. So if you do spray base before you do any embroidery, try to make sure that it's actually dried before you get started on your project. Otherwise, in the middle of embroidery, you can end up with your threads shredding or not looking so nice as it gets stuck. Okay, so that's done nice and quick. Let me grab my scissors. And I'm just going to trim right here at the edge of the white all the way around. But at your house, you could definitely do a rotary cutter. That would be a good thing. Okay. I need scissors that are like 2 feet long and be able to use them. Wouldn't that be nice? Because I could have cut this all with one close of my hand. If I ever find Utopia, I'll tell you guys where to find it too. Okay, and with all good sewing projects, it goes on the floor and we clean up later. All right, one more side and then we're good to go. And then the rest of it is just getting this little bag constructed. So if you like rounded corners, I would round them. If you like them squared off, you can square them. It's totally up to you. If you like doing little boxed corners at the bottom of the bag, the way this one is constructed, that's really not able to be done. So I would have to develop a different pattern or find another pattern from a designer and get that and use it. Okay, so the quilting is done. We can see all this lovely texture. Again, you could quilt these areas however you like. So on the one that's finished, I did do some quilting in there because I wasn't trying to teach. And you can see I just did straight lines. So all I did was I took the foot that's already on, I did a line from the top to the bottom, and then I moved it over the width of the foot, did another line and another one. Or again, do your practice in there. Okay, so at this point, what I need to do is I just need to fold this over and create a seam down this long edge. And I'm going to do about a 1/2 inch seam. And I'm going to make sure that I secure it at the beginning and the ending of the stitch. And let me see if there's any way I can get our lights now to come down a little bit that we're in sewing mode. See if it will let me. Okay. Maybe that's going to help. Does that help? Can someone respond and let us know if that's helpful? Or Stacy?
We can't see the screen right now.
You can you see here where I'm going to be?
Yeah. We can see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think we need to see the screen right now.
Okay.
So that's good.
Right.
No, if we do, then I'll turn it back up. But I'm trying to get so you can see what I'm doing because The lights on this machine, one of the great things about it, and the other ones that I have, is they are so bright. But what I want you to know is sometimes late at night, that brightness can actually hurt your eyes. So don't be afraid to mess with the light setting if your eyes are getting fatigued or anything. Oh, I have to get out of this screen. Okay, we're good. Okay, so I'm going to stitch backward first and then forward. And just get the seam done all the way down. Now notice it's a cutaway stabilizer, so it's still in the bag. And I like that because it's going to give it stability and support. It's also going to help if you put very sharp things in your bag to not have it ruin the material so fast. Okay, so for this, I'm just now going to try to center it as best I can. I'm just going to finger press right now. You could do a roller. You could take it to your ironing board, but for speed of class, I'm just going to do this with my fingers. And I was always told not to do this with your fingernails, but I like to break rules. So that's what I did. All right, now I'm going to flip this over where I can see the actual quilting on the bag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide which end do I want to be the flap and which end do I want to be where it's going over. So what I decided on the original bag was I wanted to have some of the lovely solid color on the panel show for the flap that came up and over. So to do that, that is this part. Can you see that large area of solid color? So I'm going to work with this end first. And now I'm going to decide, do I want it rounded or do I want it squared off on the flap? If you want it rounded, take your favorite circling device and your favorite marking tool, put it in the corner, and then draw your rounded edge. And then you can sew that on that line around. I think for this one, I'm going to leave it straight today. Okay, but I could definitely round that off. The other side, I'll definitely leave straight. I don't want to round that one. Okay, so now we're just going to sew across here. Make sure that you're securing. And because it's going to get a lot of wear and tear, maybe you want to sew it twice. Or sew like a little bit inside the stitching that you create for the actual seam. So we're going to lower the foot here. Sew a little forward and then a little back. Just go straight across. Make sure that seam is centered. Okay, there's one pass. I'm going to do it twice because I know even on the flap it can get a lot of wear and tear. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew twice. All right. And I want to touch things so fast. Okay, so that part's done. I'm going to go ahead and clip these little corners at about a 45 degree. Make sure you don't clip your stitching. Can't tell you how many times I've done that. And definitely don't do it on a garment because you can't put material back. You can always do a bigger seam, but putting that material back on is a little difficult. Okay, so now I need to be able to turn this inside out. So you know your preference. I'm going to make sure everything is flat. And I would recommend at least about a 3-inch turning hole on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew from the end. I'm going to secure it. I'm going to go to about where my 3 inches is, secure just a little bit. And then I'm going to sew off and back on a couple of times. Then I'm going to flip the bag over and we're going to do the same thing from the other side. So on and secure it, backing up, forward, get to about that 3-inch opening, secured a little bit, turn, sew off and back on and off. And what that's going to do is it's going to help this opening turn nicely so that when you top stitch everything around, it's just going to make it so much nicer. Some people call it an L seam. I just call it, thank God it's there. I like it. Okay, if you're not religious, I apologize. All right, so here we go. We're going to sew forward a little bit and then back and forward. And I'm just eyeballing about 3 inches. If you are one that wants to measure that, definitely measure it. And so back a little bit, forward. Now I'm going to turn and I'm going to do that sew off that I was talking about. Okay, and with this one, because I don't have the lights on so that you can see, this will be a little fun. I think that's good. Okay, I think we got it. So you can see it makes this little L seam. So I sewed across and then up and down. All right, flip it over, do the other side. And the reason I flip it over is I know that the sides of the bag are going to be where they are. If I started stitching in here, there's a chance that alignment can get off. So when I do this technique, I always prefer to go from the outside edges toward the middle. All right, let's do this one. Okay, and that looks good. Oh, I need to back it up a little bit. And what that does is it just makes it really secure because it's going to take a lot of pressure when we turn the bag right side out. Okay, there we go. All right, we can see both of those are done. And now I'm going to clip the corners here. All right, now the fun part begins. I got to reach my hand up in there. If you have a favorite turning tool, this would be a good time to find one and definitely use it. All right, so this hole's big enough that I can really get my fingers up in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to inch my hand along the seam at the back of it because that has a lot of material that I can hold on to and pull as I need to. And I'm just working it until I get to the opposite end of the bag. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to guide that through the hole down here at the bottom. And then I can work to get all this up and through. That has been the best technique I've found when doing a tube like this. But whatever method works for you, you do what works best for you. This also gives me something I can hold on to here at the bottom while I'm pulling this out. I don't know about you, Stacy, but everybody I've ever talked to calls this birthing the bag.
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely a good push through the hole.
Yeah, especially if it's not big enough. Because sometimes designers will tell you an 8-inch hole, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't need 8 inches, but they may know best. I don't know. Sometimes I'm not, like I said, I'm not good at following directions. But once you do bags a bit, I think you find what your sweet spot is and what you're comfortable with. But doing that little L seam really does secure it so you're not pulling stitches out as you're going. Okay, I've almost got this. So what I'm doing, and you see me really working my hands, I'm really trying to get these corners to pop out pristinely without having to, my friend uses a screwdriver and it pokes through sometimes at the end. But hopefully I get them and I don't have to use a tool to help me get that little point very secure. So what I do is I really try to open it like you're creating a box corner. I put my finger into the end, my finger's right there, and then you can use your finger sometimes to get that job done. If not, my favorite tool looks like this. It's got a nice ball point on the end of it so that hopefully I don't poke through the stitching. And sometimes I even use the bigger end depending on how the bag's constructed. Okay, at this point, I would take it to my iron and make sure everything's pressed. But for sake of time, we're just going to roll with it. I just want to make sure the stabilizer is where it needs to be because I didn't do any quilting in here. If I did quilting on this side, then I wouldn't have to worry about that stabilizer not being all the way out to the edge. But I'm just feeling with my hands, making sure it's out there. This would be a good time to take that tool also. And if we had pressed this, the seam would be really nice and flat in there. And because it's going to my daughter, she goes, "Mom, just get your class done. It'll be okay." All right. So we don't need to see me go to the ironing board and press. But I would definitely do that. Now, I do recommend when you're using that mesh stabilizer, not very high heat, because it is made of nylon and it can shrink. So we want to be very careful that we are not shrinking that stabilizer in there. So like a medium heat is all you need. And actually a little roller, if you've got one of those for seams, a roller works perfectly. Okay, so what I'm doing now is all this Oreo filling here needs to come inside. And because I did that stay stitching around, I know it's staying together. If it were just loose fabric there, I'd have a little more issue. Okay, so here's the deal. If you like pins, pin all the way around, whatever you need to do. I'm going to go with it because I've got this lovely, again, foot on this machine that helps keep everything even. And what I want to do is to stay stitch or top stitch. So I need to increase my stitch length to a 3.0. And I'm just going to zip around this bag real quick. And then I'm going to see if anything looks like it's shifted funny or if there's any wrinkles that I don't like in the bag. I can take care of them before I finish the stitching around. All right, so I released my hand and now I got to work it just a little bit more again. Okay, got it. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start at the end where the opening is and then go all the way around. All right, and I'm doing this at about not a 1/4 inch. If you do 1/2 inch seams, you can do a 1/4 inch. If you did 1/4 inch seams, you'll need to do an 1/8 of an inch because you want to catch whatever a seam would be when you're top stitching around, especially if part of it's open. So I need to make sure when I stitch, I actually secure that opening. Okay, notice I did not stay stitch. I'm not sure what we got going on here. Okay. Know what I pressed, but for some reason it doesn't want to continue stitching. It keeps doing a securing stitch, so let's undo that. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay, I think I'm at the edge there. Just again, feel, make sure everything's staying in alignment as you go, especially if you're risking it like me and no pins. No pins. Okay, when I get to the top, because I didn't press it, I'm just really going to take my fingers and make sure that this top has everything pushed out because we don't want it to look like it's got a valley in there at the seam. Okay, put that foot back down. Okay. That seam is really thick, so sometimes I have to make sure that I am able to get past it with the foot. Oh, and I see what happened because I had to click off of this. I need to put the dual feedback on. That's what I'm missing. Okay. Okay, so I'm to the corner where I started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, and instead of back stitching and causing a clump of thread to happen, I'm just going to stitch forward a little bit over stitching I've already done, and that will also secure stitching. So if you don't want a bunch of buildup, I would recommend doing that. Okay. Let me see if I go to a different menu. Come back. Okay. All right, so now I have to decide how much of an overlap do I want. So if I look at it like this, do I want the flap to come down like that and make it more of a rectangle? Do I want it to stand up taller? As long as I have enough of a flap to get some snaps or something in there to secure it, that's all I need. So I think this looks good. I like this. Or I could opt to go with where the design is, in this line on the design at the middle of it, because maybe that looks better. So it's up to you. I think I'm going to use that line on this one. And so our bag will be about like this. And then when I fold this over, it's going to be a nice size. And it looks like the design is complete here. And then it's complete at the bottom on the back as well. Okay. If I were to fold it up a little bit, I have more of the design on the back now on the front. So you decide how you like it. Okay. At this point, if I'm doing any kind of D-rings or anything for the strap, I need to add them right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the little rings. And bend down and get my threads. They fell on the floor. Okay. And one of my rings fell on the floor, which is fun. All right, let's see if I can find the other one. All right. Here's one. So I'm going to do this on one side. And maybe we'll make it more of a wristlet, or I can come back here and add the other one. But I'm just going to show you the procedure real quick with the one that I've got, because the other one I have to go find it. Get to explore my sewing room again. Now, this D-ring is not the exact size of my ribbon. You'll see it's folding over. So I'm using what I had in the studio today. You can make sure you get a D-ring that's the proper size for your ribbon. I think this is 1 inch and this is like supposed to be 1 inch, but it always ends up just a little smaller on those curved parts. And what I'm going to do is insert it from this side in. Sorry. And I want to go at least a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch down. And then when I sew this side, I'm just going to sew it in. Remember I said the grandbabies gave me stuff. It just hit. Hopefully it clears out. Okay, so we're going to put the foot down, and I'm going to do my best to sew over the stitching I already have. And I'm going to make sure that I also increase my stitch length maybe to a 3.5 now. Because the more layers you go through, the more the stitch length needs to be. Oh my goodness. That is fun. So I'm going to sew forward and I'm going to sew back. And I broke my needle. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Because it's super thick. Live show. All right, and cut my threads. So, Stacy, have you ever had just one of those days?
Yeah, yes, I have. I actually was doing my project, and it was, I think it was like 6 or 7 layers thick. And I broke 3 needles in one.
Oh, goodness.
I finally pulled out my heavy duty needle and I was like, okay, I can make it through with this.
Yeah. So, no, that's a good point. Thank you for saying that. That's a really good point, because I still have the embroidery needle in here and I didn't change it to something thicker. Normally it works just fine. So thank you for saying that. And, I'm going to turn some lights back on so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Yes. Now we can see. All right. Let's grab a thicker needle, because with this machine, we've got blue tips, red tips, purple tips. And if you don't know, blue is good for embroidery. The red is good for quilting and heavier things. It's a size 14. The blue is your 7511. And then your purple is considered a ballpoint. So if you're doing any knits or anything like that, you're going to want to use that one.
Well, and we actually recommend for the Janome the purple tip for all ruler work.
Oh, the purple one?
The purple is the #1 needle for ruler work.
Wow. I'm so glad this happened so that I could hear that.
Yeah.
I forgot that. When normally in class we put the red one in or the blue one and we just go for it until something breaks.
Yeah. No, and a lot of times if there's any struggle, we're like, well, do you have the purple tip needle in? And often it won't be in, and we'll have to say, let's switch it out. And sure enough, it makes all the difference.
It really does.
Yeah.
Matching your needle to your project, I can't tell you how important that is. But sometimes as instructors, we go with it because we're right in the moment and we've got to get class done for you guys, because we want you to have all your instruction before you leave, especially if your project's not finished. My goal is to always make sure I've given enough so that the project can be done. Also, you don't have my phone number to call me after class. So then you have to go back to the store and see if they can help you. Okay, let me see. I forgot to also thread my needle. Now, some machines have you lock before you do your needle. Some will do it without locking the machine. I always recommend locking your machine if you have that option, just so that something doesn't happen with your fingers at your needle. Also, another tip that I have, when you're changing your needle and doing things like that, take something. I always have like a little piece of fabric, but this is a new to me machine, and stick it under your foot so that if the needle does fall, it doesn't go into the machine. It's something good to know. All right, we're going to try this again with a stronger needle, and let's see what happens. I'm going to hold my mouth just right, and we're going to hope it goes just fine. But this machine doesn't have any problems sewing through the layers. And what you also need to know is that embroidery needle had been used for a couple of projects. So what happens is our needles wear out. Those tips become dull. They get little micro abrasions in them. Like if you look under a microscope at your needle, you would be alarmed at what it looks like, a new one versus an old one. And that's why they say change your needle every 6 hours of sewing or every couple of projects or whatever the case is. But look how nice that's sewed now. I love it when we can laugh at ourselves. Okay, So does everybody get the idea for the other side? I think we're good with the other side.
I think we are, yes.
Okay, because I really do want to find that D-ring on the floor now that I think about it.
Okay.
And my floor, amazingly, is a great color for dirt in this studio. And so finding this little, it's almost like a brassy colored ring, it's blending in, which is why I can't see it. All right, so at this point, you would have both D-rings in. The last thing to do would be to do your snaps and then figure out if you're going to do a little swivel hook on the other ribbon to attach, or if you're going to do the ribbon right through the ring. So I'm going to do the through the ring method, and I'm going to show you this one side. So ribbon often has a pretty side and a not so pretty side. Sometimes I can hold them up to the camera and you can tell one's different than the other. If it's important to you, pay attention to it. I could do some decorative stitching down this also to make this very pretty. And maybe I would do a chocolate colored thread and do some decorative stitching on here. Okay, so I'm going to feed it through. Now, this ribbon does have the ability of fraying, so I'm just going to fold it over at least a 1/2 inch, maybe a little more, and then bring it up here far enough away from the hook that I don't hit the hook. Okay, so I've got the fold here about a 1/2 inch. I'm bringing the ribbon up. I'm leaving, it looks about 1.5 inches away from the D-ring. And then I'm going to secure this across. And then toward the edge of the ribbon that's sandwiched in the middle, I'm going to do another line of straight stitching back and forth. Okay, she's going to let me because I have black thread in here and that's what she's getting. Not changing the thread. That's what we can do for our children. Now, if it was going to the grandbaby, definitely gets changed. All right, so I am paying very close attention where the fold is on the ribbon on the back side, and I'm making sure I'm catching it from the front. Now, I have my machine at 3.5 millimeters for stitch length. So I'm going to want to take this and make it actually pretty small. So think of like paper piecing, and you're trying to also tear paper off when you're done. We normally stitch at about a 1.8. Sometimes I'll even do 1.6 so it really perforates the paper better. But it's up to you. So we're going to go forward and we're going to come back. And now, do I really need this thread needle in here for this ribbon? No, but it's in the machine. So that's what we're going with. All right, so I got the one stitching. If you have a sight on your foot that you can use for the next row of stitching, use it. That way you've got a guide. Or just do like me and just go for it. But you'll want at least 2 rows of stitching to help that ribbon. Now, some ribbon you need to burn to make sure it doesn't unravel, like nylons and things like that. So just follow the instructions of the manufacturer when you're doing that. And because my lights are off, this is, oh, so beautiful. Nice rows of stitching. She won't mind. She's going to be able to use it anyway. Okay, so do a better job than me. I'm going to show you. It's a little off. Off camera, I'm going to fix that a little bit. All right, and then you do the same thing on the other side. The last thing to do is decide how you want to close your bag. And so for me, I think it coming just to the edge of the brown at the top here would be pretty. If this had more color, I could even open it up bigger, which I think I still have enough room to do the snaps like that. The next thing I'm going to do is take a look at placement of the snaps. Do I want just one in the middle? This is wide enough. I think it needs support toward the edges, so I know I'm going to use 2. Do I want them spaced 2 inches, 3 inches? Do I want them super close together? This is you're the designer, so whatever is best for you. All right, I'm going to grab some pins and I'm going to mark my places. Notice I'm not even actually measuring anything. But if I wanted, I could grab something to measure. I think I'm going to go about halfway in between here and here. And that's about halfway. So I'm going to put a pin about halfway. And if it's off, you can fix it. Get it where you like, or measure it if you want. And I'm going to grab another pin and I'm going to put one on the bottom part. Now I know the line at which the snap needs to go, and I can hand sew those on, and then the bag is done. So do you want me to hand sew them, or everybody good with sewing on snaps? What do you want?
I want to see the snaps.
You want to see the snaps? Okay. So it comes with, we love to call it male and female, right? Okay. So normally you can put the male part as the part that comes down, because when it's open, I think the female part looks much nicer to view than the male part of it. And what do I mean? This part has the part that sticks up. That to me is the male part. And the female part looks nice and smooth. Okay, so I'm going to take the female part first. I'm going to grab a color ribbon or ribbon thread that you can see. And we're going to make our little knot. Now, I don't like using a long piece of thread at this point, because we're going to be going up and down to secure the snap. And long bits of thread can wrap around the project, can do all sorts of fun things to us. The first thing I'm going to do now that I have the knot in here is decide how far down my snap is going to go. And let's see if I turn some lights back on now. We can see this better. Settings. Still learning this machine and where to go to find things. Okay. So maybe not the big one on. So I've got this up here. Okay. And it's got 4 holes to sew in. I'm going to go underneath and go in and out of the fabric first around the pin, so I know it's centering where I want. Okay. So I went from the right side to the left. I went down and under the pin. And the next ones are actually going to go through all the layers. I'm just going to stick it in one hole of the snap. Okay. So now I've got my snap and my thread. And then decide, is that a hole at the top or is it at the bottom? I think it'll be one at the top. At this point, the pin is getting in my way. So I'm going to take that out, hold it as best I can. And I'm up through a hole already. And I'm going to go down into one that's right next to it or adjacent to it, if you like that math term. Or think of your neighbors, the one right next door. And then I'm going to come up. So I'm going through all of the layers. Now, here's the thing. When I do the snaps, only 2 threads is only as secure as 2 threads can be. 3 is better than 2. So odd numbers are better. But I like to do at least 5, especially if I'm giving this to a little one. So now I'm counting. That's number 2. And I don't have to worry about like a button, putting a pin under it for kind of like a shank type mechanism, so that when you button, the layers of your clothing look nice. If you sew it right up to the edge of the fabric, then it doesn't have room to let the fabric that needs to go around that button have room to wiggle. So you always want to give it a little bit of a shank. And normally I do that with a pin, and I'm sewing back and forth around the pin. Okay, so I lost count. I think that's 3. That's going to be 4. And then one more time for 5. And now you have a choice. Do you want to see a knot on the inside of the bag when it's open, or do you want it to kind of be hidden in the snap? If it were a garment, sometimes I hide my knots between the snap and the fabric, and then I go to the back and do 2 little overhand knots to make sure it's really secure. But for this one, it's nice and dark, and I thought you'd be able to see this turquoise thread okay. Can you see that? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my thread on the underside, and you can see that I've stitched through all the layers, I hope, in there. Kind of.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the first knot that I'm doing. I'm going through the loops of thread, and I'm going to do a little slip knot right there. That helps me if those threads have spread out to kind of hold them together on the back side. And then I'm going to go in just a little bit into the fabric down below, and just a tiny bit, like a couple of threads. And I'm going to do a knot there. And this is where if this tail is really long, you're going to get some fun loops in your project down here. Okay. So that's done. Now I have a choice to make. Do I want to cut this thread, or do I want to, because it's inside the project, go for the next set of holes? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go for the next set. I don't want to cut things. The more we cut, the more things have the ability to fall apart. So I'm going to find the next set of holes down, and they're down here at the bottom. And I'm just going to do the same thing through those. So I'm going to go up through one. It's fun to see in the dark with a black snap. Who knew that my color choice today, which was stellar, I laugh at myself. Okay, so I'm up through one of the holes. Again, we're going to go down by its adjacent partner. And then again, 5 times around. So that's 1. And now I need to twist this so I can see a little bit. The shininess of the snap is nice. I can see where that hole is really, really well. Okay. Right. Now, when you tug a little bit. Don't tug too tight. Just enough to secure it to the surface. That's 2. We're going to do 3. 4. I need like one of those little knitting counters that when you say a number, it's ready for the next one. Or it knows your rhythm of your body and it counts it for you. 1 more. I think that's 5. If I've miscounted, laugh at me and put it in the comments. All right. And then again, the same thing on the back. I'm going to grab all the rows of the thread, do the first slip knot around all of those, and then just take a couple little bites of the fabric and do a knot. And do another one. You could do 3 for good measure if you want, because the first one was just around those threads. All right. Try and see that loop. Okay, that's good. Now what I do, because that is where the knot is, I don't want to cut right beside it. I'm going to go in like you're quilting and you are securing threads, those tails at the end. So I'm going to go in right by the knot, go through the middle knot out to the front. The needle's not passing up front, out to the other side, and then trim. That just ensures that you don't cut right at your knot. Okay, so now we've got one part of it on. Now I can decide, I already know what line it needs to be in. How far down do I want? And I think just inside the stitching with the other one, just like I did here, is going to be perfect placement. So I'm going to grab the other side. I'm going to make sure I've got enough thread. Let me change to a gray. Maybe we can see the gray a little better. Again, not a super huge length of thread. This doesn't even go a wingspan. It's like half a one. And then we'll see if we can get it on this needle with the light that we have. Did you know if you put white paper behind the eye of your needle, you can see it better? So I'm going to turn on this light a little more so that I've got that white paper effect. So now, because this is white, I can really see the opening in the eye of this needle really well. Same thing happens at your machine. If you get something white behind that eye, you can see where it is so much better. Okay. And of course, my fingers then shadow it. I made it fuzzy again. If you're one that likes to lick your thread, go for it. I don't try to do that because a lot of things that I would make, I had to give to somebody. I didn't think they needed my DNA. All right. So do your knots however you like. I see some people that will do it around the needle and then pull. If you've got that mastered, that's great. Teach me how to do that because I've always done it around my finger and then squished it off. Okay, so this thread is not matching the project. So I want to not go through all the layers like I did it on this side on the inside. So this snap is only getting secured through the fleece, through the stabilizer, and the fabric that we see right here. That way I don't have any stitching on the actual outside of the project. Okay, so again, I'm going to take a little bit of a bite here near that needle. I'm going to make sure it's not coming through the other side so I don't see my needle. Go up through one of the holes in the snap there along the edge. And then again, we're just going to go back and through. But because we are only going through the fabric, I'm coming down. I put the needle in. I'm going to kind of go up where the thread came out for the first one. So I've created this loop. I'll watch the snap. And so now a little different procedure. I'm going to take it through the hole first. Make sure it's snug up there. And now that it's through that hole, I can take that little bit of a bite through the layers, get it to come out the other side. And then I go up through the hole again on this side. Okay, so that's two. I'm watching the layers so that they do what they're supposed to. And I actually went around the loop of the thread. I was creating a knot. Okay, so now we can see we got two of them done. That thread's kind of hard to see on that snap. I thought it was going to be better. Again, go through the hole first. You can fold the fabrics back to make sure that you're not going through things you're not supposed to. And again, those little loops can get caught on things. Okay, then I go through the fabric. I'm going to take the pin out at this point so I can bend up through the snap, across through the hole. After a while, you get in a rhythm. Through the fabric on the back. That is, I think that's 4. We're going to call that 4. This one will be 5. Through the hole. Bend your fabrics if you need to. Okay. And then through. Now, to do the knot on this, because that's 5, I'm not going to be coming back up through that hole again. I do want to make sure that my threads are pulled tight or tight enough. Now, just like I did when I went around all the threads, I'm going to come from behind the snap and get all those threads that were going. So kind of through the middle and up to the top. Make sure I catch them all. And this is where I'm going to do the first loop. Then I'm going to bend this really well. So it's really coming up off of, trying to get some white there. If you can see it, it's really off the surface. And I'm going to do the knot up underneath. So I'm going to come in the fabric a little bit. Y'all make funny gestures with your mouth when you're concentrating. I've been told I do that, but I can't see it. So if I am, just giggle. All right, so there's one. And I just want to grab a little bit. I don't know how well this is getting. My other camera would have been so much better. All right. And then up, I went around everything. I could hear it when I did it. Okay. Okay, one more. And then again, I'm going to take it through the layers to the opposite side. And I can feel on the back side with my finger that I'm not poking through. And that time I can go straight up through the hole. And then again, same procedure, through the hole and back and forth. And then you are able to snap. So once that's all secured, just check your alignment, because this would be the time, if they're not aligning perfectly, where you can adjust how it is. So just make sure it aligns on that side the way it's supposed to. I know that that's bent. And then just do the same on the other side. And your bag is done. That's all there is. Da-da-da. Okay, so if you want to hang out, I'm going to finish this snap. Or, Stacy, do you have anything else people need to know?
Well, no, I think that this is great. I love that you're showing them all the steps. This is amazing. We're going to have, yeah. And the bag is a really, really super cute bag.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Everything is so neat. So oftentimes little ones want a purse, and how perfect is this for them until they're ready for their Gucci.
Right?
Or their Prada, or
their Prada, yes.
Yes, whichever one we're going to get, right?
Exactly.
I was never one of those children that had the funds to do that, but, you know, dreaming was nice.
Yes.
I don't even think I still have anything that's that much. One, because I'm on airlines a lot, and I would hate to put something like that down on the floor. You know how they make you put your stuff under the seats?
Mm-hmm.
It would be horrible. Okay, I think that's 5 because I've lost count. All right. Well, I've managed not to sneeze. Yesterday, I spent all day sneezing.
Oh, wow.
I thought I was going to have to call you, Stacy.
Oh.
It's like, I don't know what the little ones got, but hopefully you guys aren't doing this. It was a good couple of weeks of just not feeling good at all, to the point of even being in bed. It's crazy. But they actually got sick, bless their hearts. I didn't get that part of it. Okay, so now this one's done. I'm just going to clip this thread real quick and give it a snap. Now, techniques for undoing. If you can train your little ones, instead of just pulling to get in there and support the snap with their finger and then pull it, that's the best way to do your snap. Because what they want to do is this. It's secure enough to do that, but really, if you can train them, just get the little finger under there, hold it supported, and undo it. So nice. So when this one is totally finished, I'll be able to put a picture up in the group for everybody on So Steady Stars, or EmbroideLee by me. It's still being called that right now. So there we go. And once this is all done, we're imagining now, put on your best imagination.
Love it.
Ready to go.
So cute. Great work. Thank you so much for sharing this class, Michelle. This is wonderful. And then tomorrow, I think you have one more fun little class for everyone. We're going to be doing some stuff with our freestanding lace that's in the box this quarter. So
yeah,
what a great project. We can't wait to have you come back tomorrow. So we'll look forward to that. But thank you again for such an amazing class. And I sure hope your daughter enjoys that bag.
Thank you. I think she will. She told me she has to come over tonight for dinner. Of course, I get the honor of making her dinner.
Oh, yeah.
So she can pick it up.
That's perfect. All right. Well, thank you again. Have a wonderful dinner tonight, and you'll have to tell us if it's well received tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Are you ready to take your quilting to the next level? Whether you're just starting or looking for fresh inspiration, the Elevate Box Club is designed just for you. As one of our club members, you'll receive a quarterly box packed with exclusive tools, patterns, and fabric to bring your projects to life. We host live classes every month, plus recorded lessons available anytime on our Sew Steady University. Join us every Thursday at 10 a.m. for live inspiration on YouTube. We have a club for everyone. Choose from our ruler work club, our pattern only club, or the Elevate Box Club. Want it all? We also have a Get It All Club, combining ruler work and embroidery collections. Whatever your style and no matter your skill level, the Elevate Box Club is here to help elevate your creativity. We never stop learning together.